It's just the Labor Day parade.
Yeah.
Beloved, welcome back to the channel. So in my recent update, I mentioned like, oh, maybe I'll make a top 10 list of books. And so I have a list on my phone of my completed books. Every time I finish one, I just write it on there just so you can kind of keep track of these things. And I've read 43 books since spring of 2023, which I think is pretty good. But that aside, I realized, hey, I can definitely make a top 10 books that I've personally read. So I have one caveat for that though. In this stack, there are a few repeat authors. Now, fans of the channel know, love Cormac McCarthy, love Dostoevsky. I binge them as I tend to do with authors that I just find incredible. I will binge their works. And so those two authors took up my entire first year of reading. I don't think I read anything else really during the first year of my literature journey. But when I was compiling this list, I really wanted to challenge myself. I could have filled this whole list with their works, to be honest, but I wanted to challenge myself because I think that'd be kind of a boring video if it's just two people the whole time. So we have more than that in here. So I guess that leads to the second point. What are these ranked on? So I would say the first and foremost ranking issue is kind of impact. So the way that they made me feel as I was reading them, the way they sat with me after I finished them, that's kind of how it is. And then I'd say second overall is kind of like enjoyment is the way I kind of decided to rank these. But yeah, I tend to appreciate literature more that makes me think or kind of presents a story in a way I haven't experienced prior to. Before that, I have two things as well. I keep having things I need to tell you. I will share with you my current read, and then before we get into the actual stack, I have an honorable mention that I couldn't put into my top 10. So what I'm currently reading right now is William Gass's Amonsetter's Luck. I just finished the first part this morning, The Triumph of Arabestos Tot. Now I think I'm getting into the real meat and potatoes of the story. I finished The Orchard Keeper 2 days ago. Almost didn't read anything yesterday. It just kind of wasn't feeling it because, yeah, I cranked the Orchard Keeper out in like a few days. We got Amonsetter's Luck by William Gass. That is the current fiction read. So this is an honorable mention for my top 10. And the reason it's not in my top 10 is because I haven't finished it yet. However, if it continues on the way it does, and I think it will, this would 100% break the top 10, maybe even the top 5. And it's Septology by Young Fossé. I'm still taking kind of a break from it. I think after Amonsetter's Luck, I would hop back in here and maybe just not take a break and just finish it. But the first part of this book was just incredibly mind-blowing, beautiful, tender, inquisitive, and all that and more. And I can already tell, I already know this is going to sit within this list when I'm finished with it. Okay, let's finally get into the freaking list. I got a cup of spicy hot chocolate here. It is that time of year to just be cranking down hot chocolate. And let's talk about some books that I love. So some of these are going to be repeats on the channel, and I forgive you, but if you're new here, you are in for your first time, me, impressions, talking about these things. And you'll also notice I just switched 2 of the books. I just edited my list in real time. So the first book at number 10, we have Oakley Hall's Warlock. I read this one this year. Just an incredible way of telling the story where everything is kind of secondhand presented to you. And what's cool about that is that it also contradicts itself in a lot of ways. So, like, reading this, it made me start thinking, like, how much of history is actually true? And I think this book just does such a good job being a Western or an anti-Western and kind of showing you how, like, the legends of the older days kind of were formed, where there's a man in this who becomes a legend in his own right and then even struggles to meet that expectation. And then the way that information is kind of communicated and skewed, it just kind of shows you, and it makes you question, like, what do we actually know about anything that we've heard of any great men or, instances in history? Like, how much of it is actually true and how much of it is due to interpretation or due to retelling or due to embellishment? Well, another cool thing in here is the way I haven't experienced this in any other Western book, but you even have like the Coal Miners Union featured within this book, which is just another sect of the Wild West that is not talked about at all. And they play a big role in this book too. So that was something that was like fresh, really interesting. And yeah, I love this book this year. When I make my review at the end of the year, Lord willing, of my top 5 reads, don't be surprised if you see this one in there. I love this book. This book was fantastic. And then we have John Williams' Stoner. So this is my go-to recommendation for people. A lot of people think it's overrated, and I understand that. I get it. But what I love about this book is I think it really encapsulates what I love in literature. It is something that just takes the ordinary and makes it enjoyable. It's something, that's why I think I love McCarthy so much, is like, McCarthy books aren't super filled with like exciting things, but they're filled with a lot of the mundane. But the way that it's written and the way that it's presented to us makes you care a lot. It makes you interested in the goings-ons of people. Stoner does that really well. John Williams has an incredible way at writing his prose where they are so intricate but simple. And it's just every sentence in this book just flows like honey from your mouth. It is incredible. And the story itself is so beautiful. It's so tender and ordinary, and I think because of that, you can lose yourself and find yourself within the pages of this book. I love Stoner. I recommend it to everybody who kind of is interested in wanting to know, like, well, what kind of things do you like to read? Because I think this is a perfect encapsulation of it. It's ordinary, it's mundane in its its happenings, but it's beautiful in such a way that captivates you. So, at number 9, we have Stoner. So at number 8, we have East of Eden by John Steinbeck. I'm a little surprised myself this isn't higher up on the list. This book was incredible. I finished this one somewhat recently, like about a month and a half ago or so. And this is the first book I've ever read where like more than 2 storylines were introduced to us as the reader. And I was interested in all 3. A book like Lonesome Dove, for example, has about like 3 or 4 pretty congruent storylines going. I couldn't care for 2 of them that I can think of off the top of my head. I just was like, I don't care. I'm uninterested. Like, I'm just reading this to get through this so I can go back to the things I care about. This, on the other hand, every storyline and character that is introduced along the way, and that we sometimes deviate from the original plot of the story to spend time with and stuff, all fantastic. Even Kathy, even someone as terrible as Kathy, I am interested in reading it. And I think that is just so cool. Like, that's the first time I've experienced that in a work of literature. But it's incredibly beautiful. I mean, it's very close to home as it hits. Especially for me, there's a lot of depictions of America and the people within this great land of ours that just resonate with you if you've been out of your bubble at any point in time. Like, you've met some of these people, you've had talks with these people, you've enjoyed these people in your life. This is another instance of where it's like there's a lot of really mundane things kind of going on, but it's so beautiful. And oh my goodness, this book is a page turner. Like, it doesn't slow down at all. It just keeps going and going and going. And then later on in the story, you know, our main character has children, and then they become interesting too, and you want to see what they're up to. And this is a book where there's just so many characters that felt like friends to me. Samuel Hamilton, fantastic person. Lee, I want Lee to work in my house. I couldn't afford Lee, but I would like Lee to work in my house so I could hang out with him all the time. Or and be my friend, you know what I'm saying. But yeah, East of Eden, John Steinbeck, fantastic novel. First Steinbeck I ever read, and I'm excited to return to him soon. Maybe within the year, but it's hard to say. So maybe next year. But yeah, East of Eden at number 8. For number 7, we have The Fellowship of the Ring by J.R.R. Tolkien. So, I love this trilogy so much. I know in all technicalities, Lord of the Rings is supposed to be one book. However, it is separated up into trilogies. And I think my favorite part of the trilogy is The Fellowship of the Ring. When I was younger, I used to love The Two Towers, the movie, and the book, kind of. I had not really like read through it so much. But as I grow older, I love The Fellowship. I love how this book plays out and how it starts. It's such a good introduction to kind of everything in the story. Except the part early on where they go through the forest and there's like the willow and stuff. Oh my goodness, it's slow. It's kind of troubling to read through. Tom Bombadil's fun, but after that, this is just so good, and I love the setting up of the mission to go to Mordor and everything like that. I love the Council of Elrond. I love the Mines of Moria. I think that the whole arc of the Mines of Moria is maybe my favorite in all of the Lord of the Rings. I love it. It's so good. It's fantastic. But yeah, I love this book. I love the whole trilogy. But I think just for starting out the story, this does such a good job at introducing intrigue, because there's things mentioned, and there's things not explained, and it just sets up the world so vividly and perfectly for you to just get lost in. And Tolkien, excellent writer, as you might know. He's a linguist, so he's very good at writing. And yeah, I love this book so much. So Fellowship of the Ring coming in at number 7. And at number 6, we have Morning and Evening by Young Fosse. You can call this one recency biased. I made a short about this. But oh my goodness, the discovery of this author for me has just been so rewarding. And this book is it's so beautiful how short it is, and it packs such a punch. And Young Fosse just has this there's such a way of writing like the tenderness of life and experience, and it moves your heartstrings in such a way. It's so wonderful and beautiful, and it's hard to describe, to be honest with you. He just has such a good way at writing like what is important in life, and what is that? That is the experience, encounters, and relationships we have with people, with ourselves, and with God in terms of this book, and also septology. But yeah, because of how short this is, there's not too much I want to say. Go into it blind. Just read it in a weekend or even in a day. Goodness, just astounding. I think I mentioned it in my short about this, but I've only cried at one book in my life, and that was The Road by Cormac McCarthy. And if I did not immediately distract myself with something when I finished this, I probably would have started crying too. Oh my goodness. Incredible. Yeah. Number 6, Morning and Evening by Young Fosse. So now we are in the top 5. There is some repetition in here. I apologize, but I would be lying to you if I did not include the books I did in the top 5 here. So we will get into it right now, with number 5 being The Passenger by Cormac McCarthy. Being McCarthy's last novel, there is such a sense of finality between this book and the sister novel or codex, Stella Maris, or Maris. Stella Maris. Maris? I don't know. But this was just something that, as I was reading, I know critics were not super happy about this book. A lot of fans were not super happy about this book, but there is such a feeling of finality and isolation. I have never felt more alone reading a book in my life than I was when I was reading this, because Bobby is just alone all the time. What's really interesting about this book is that there are a lot of things that McCarthy calls back to from other books in his career. There's a spot near the ending where Bobby is kind of living in this rundown shack, and it just reminds me of Child of God. There's different moments throughout that just call back to his earlier works, and I think it's just incredible. McCarthy had to have known this is probably his last novel while he's alive. And he just goes back through the monumental work of his bibliography and just adds little bits and pieces, and it's a good farewell. This book threw me into a reading slump for 2 months. I felt hollow for a week after I finished it. I could not follow this up with anything. And I don't even understand a lot of what's being gotten about. I don't think a lot of even critical McCarthy readers know, but just the way this book impacted me, oh my goodness, fantastic. So number 5, The Passenger by Cormac McCarthy. At number 4, we have The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien. I told you it would make its way into the top 5 if you watched my last video. It would. I kind of talked about it briefly in my last video, but I think I read this story so much when I was growing up. I would get these CDs of the audiobook from my local library and listen to it even, and I would always check this out if I didn't know what else to get when me and my mother would go. And it's just such a perfect, tight little story. And I think because, objectively, I think Tolkien wrote this to be kind of a children's book, or maybe a book that an adult reads to their child. And it's got all the excitement and all the, kind of like chilling aspects of it with things like the spiders or like, the close call moments and everything. But I think this also just has good virtue. It's a call to be courageous. It's a call to be virtuous and you serve other people. But then it's also saying, hey, don't be complacent. Don't be too comfortable where you're at, because that's kind of the whole story. Bilbo is called out of his comfortable life to go adventure. And I think those are important things that, Lord willing, when I have a child, I would like to instill those things into my child. It's like, yeah, be adventurous, be courageous. Don't get so comfortable in your life as I tend to do. Like be fine being uncomfortable and everything. And so, I'll get off my little pseudo-intellectual soapbox there. But yeah, I love this. It's so charming to me. I'm not viewing it with rose-colored glasses, as they say. Just an excellent work. So tightly knit and so fun. So at number 4, we have The Hobbit. And at number 3 on the list, we have none other than Crime and Punishment by Fyodor Dostoevsky. Now, it is so hard not to put more of his works on here. I wish I could have fit Demons in somewhere. I think I could have put Demons in for this, to be honest. But I had to really, like I said on the way I was ranking them, I had to think about impact. I love Demons so much, but I had to remember when I was first reading this, the feelings I had and the joy and the like, oh my gosh, like I had when I was reading this book. This was a book that as I was reading it, this sounds so stupid and corny, I felt like my brain was growing, like I was just like opening my eyes to new things, you know what I'm saying? Or realizing things that had always been there. And that's why it's on here on the list. Fantastic story too. I have a whole video on where to start with Dostoevsky. I think this is the place to start. It's tightly knit, it's fast-paced, it's appealing, in all honesty. I love this book. The idea is so interesting. And one of the things that some people talk about with people like Dostoevsky or these older writers is they're like, well, I didn't like that book because I've seen it before, or I've read it before. And it's like, okay, but this is kind of like, where some of these things came from, where some of these ideas came from. This was like the first, I think this, I could be wrong. I think this is the first book that really delves into like dreams even. So it's like, you have to look at it from that perspective of like, okay, this is an older work, but this is like foundational for a lot of other crime novels. This is so foundational for a lot of other like psychological transformative novels. It can be traced back to stuff like this. So I love this book. Oh my goodness, I love this book. I think when I start rereading Dostoevsky, this will be the first book I return to. So yeah, number 3, Crime and Punishment. And then number 2, we have I don't know if it was intentional or not, but the absolute saddest book I've ever read in my life. and that is The Crossing by Cormac McCarthy. With all of my being, I want to return to this book, but oh my gosh, I don't know if I'm ready to bear the burden of it again. You know what I'm saying? There's something about this book that is, it's like, I don't want to say like, it's almost like just makes you, gosh, I can't even describe it, because there's hopeful moments and there's good moments in this book, but oh my goodness, just so much happens to poor Billy Parham. You just want to give him a hug. This book is another one that I think kind of really well encapsulates what I love in reading. It's very episodic. It's kind of all over the place, and there's moments throughout of just sheer brilliance, followed by a lot of mundane kind of things that are happening, and the language is dense and it's intricate, and there's a lot of Spanish in here that's untranslated, which was so frustrating on my first read through, because I had no idea that it was translated online. So I was using my phone and typing in the words every single time they came up, only to find out that it's like, hey, what McCarthy puts in Spanish isn't necessary, because he kind of rephrases everything in English after. But oh my goodness, I don't know how you couldn't read this book and come away in tears, or just like a changed person. There is so much hardship and struggle in this book, and there's also so much beauty and grace to be found. This is kind of like, for lack of a better way to describe it, like the story of someone just carrying their cross, you know, and having to get through things. And Billy is just this really complex character who through the whole novel is trying to put together the past again, trying to fix things that are already over and done with. It's just the same result every single time. And oh my lordy, I don't know what to say. It's so good. It's so beautiful. And I had a friend recently read this who was much smarter than I am. Shout out to you, Brian, if you watch this. Had really good talks with him, and it just made me yearn for this book even more. But then, you know, you start reading the first part of the book with the wolf, and you're like, I don't know if I can take it again. So, Cormac McCarthy's The Crossing. And at number one, to this, if you're a fan of the channel, this is a surprise to nobody if you have been following the channel whatsoever. But if you're new here, maybe it will surprise you. At number one on the best books, my top 10 list, everything I've ever read, all 43 books I've ever read, nothing compares, and I almost think nothing ever will compare to The Brothers Karamazov by Fyodor Dostoevsky. Oh my lord. Oh my lord. This book is everything that you could want from a novel. It's drama. It is excitement. It is philosophical. When you hear the word transformative novel, what do you think? Do you think of something that is incredibly experimental? Do you think of something that makes you change maybe a way you see an issue? What about a novel that forces you to live differently in your life? That is this. I don't know if it's just me, if it just hit me in such a way that just caused me to live differently, but man, I don't think anything else I have ever read has made me fundamentally change as a human. It's fundamentally made me change the way I interact with other humans. It's changed the way I think about nature. It's changed the way I think about relationships. It changed the way I approached my faith. That, I don't know if there's anything else I can say to demonstrate how incredible this is. Like, I'm not Orthodox. However, you've seen in my videos, I have the icons, I have the incense, I have the candles, I have the study Bible, I have the prayer book. I have been going to church at an Orthodox church for a long time. And prior to that, not to get too into my faith story, if you'd like to ever hear that, and maybe I will make a video, but maybe not. I kind of enjoy my privacy with it. But in the span of like a year, I went from not believing in like the church as like necessary to thinking like, oh, this is necessary. This is everything. And it's because of this. It is because of this. Hey, beloved, Editing Brent here. I just want to add a little bit more context to this. I know I just stated that I like keeping my faith private, but I think, at least in my life, part of that monumental shift was I had grown up Protestant my whole life, but when I was around 18, I had a falling out with like my previous home church, and from the ages of like 18 to 25, I didn't see organized religion as good at all, and I thought I could just do it by myself. And what this book ultimately did through the talks of Father Zosima was introduce me to Holy Orthodoxy, which, as I continued to look into and inquire, discovered was everything that I had been searching for that I just did not know existed. So, yeah, okay, back to the video. I'm just at a loss for words. This is another book. I'm like, hey, like, please, I know it's long. I know it's 1,000 pages. I know it's like a melodrama in a sense, but please, like, anyone I talk to, I'm like, you have to read this book. This challenges the way you think. It challenges the way you live. It's forcing you to confront yourself. And yeah. I feel so stupid right now that I can't get past it. It's so, I might start crying. It's so good. Sorry, I didn't know this was gonna happen. I didn't know this was gonna happen. I think about this book every day of my life, and I appreciate it. And think maybe it's time for me to return to it. Maybe soon. Yeah. Sorry. Number 1, The Brothers Karamazov by Fyodor Dostoevsky. Forgive me, beloved, for getting a little emotional there, but I hope maybe that conveys the way I feel about that book to you in maybe a proper way. It's just fantastic. So, yeah, well, thank you so much if you've made it this far. I know I ramble a lot. I hope I was able to justify my reasoning for picking these books. And yeah, God bless you. I love you. Thank you again for stopping by. We will see you in the next video. I'm feeling crazy inspired for the YouTube channel lately. I just want to pump content out. I want to stop being so selective about what I do and just do things. So yeah. We compiled the top 10 list. I'm sorry there were some repeat authors in here, but again, like I said, I would be lying to you if I didn't include the books I did. So I love you. Read good books. God bless you. We will see you in the next one.